Hey, what's going on, guys? This is a lesson for Bombtrack by Rage Against the Machine. Alright, so this is kind of an older song, but I just wanted to have it in my repertoire of lessons, so that's why I'm doing it. I know it's many years later, but whatever, it's in my repertoire now. So anyway, the song is divided into 7 parts, okay, rather than 4 verses and choruses and pre-choruses and solos and stuff like that. We're just going to call them 7 different parts, okay? So right now we're doing part 1, which is basically how the song starts out, alright? So the song starts out going like this. Okay, so that's the intro of the song. All right, so basically it's a lot of the same thing repeated over and over with just kind of a tail on the end of each part. Okay, so basically the way this is played is it starts out on the open E string. Okay, you hit it's all palm muted too, so it's open E string. You go to the 2nd fret of the D string, then open D string, and then you come down to the 2nd fret of the A string. And then back to the open D string, and then back down to the 2 of the A string, and then to the 3rd fret of the E string. Okay, so there was an open A right before that 3rd fret of the E string as well, so it's alright. And then it comes back around, but it goes up to the G string this time, the open G string. So it's okay. So if you're watching this from the website, just kind of follow along with the tabs, do what the tabs are doing. If you're watching it from YouTube, just follow along with what I'm doing. It's pretty straightforward, though. It's all right there in this little area. Okay, so it's. Okay, so that's an open G string that it goes back up to. So the pattern of this is it does that once, and then it does this next part. It's a series of 3s, okay? And it does the series of 3 times. And what I mean by a series of 3 is it goes... Okay? So instead of going up to the G string, it does this series of 3 where it's going, and then the next time, the 2nd of the 3 would be 3, 2 on the E string. Okay, and then back to the first one. All right, so if you're listening, just listen to the song to see how it goes. But what I mean by the series of 3 is it does this thing 3 times before going back up to that G string. So it's okay. Drop my pick there. Where did that go? There it is. Okay, so that's the series of 3 thing. Now, then when it goes back to the G string, instead of just hitting the open G string, it does, it's on the G string, but it's hammering onto the 2nd fret of the G string. Okay, so it's gone. Okay, and then does another one of these series of 3 things, then back to the just the open G string. Okay, then another series of 3 things with the little hammer pull thing on the 2. Okay, so that would be the 3rd of the series of 3 things. And then it does one last one of these. And then it just kind of builds up on the E power chord, okay? Alright, so that leads you into the next part. So you could either listen to the song to see exactly how the song goes together, or you can just, I'm just going to play it real quick with a metronome, exactly how it's played on the track, okay? So... then it goes into the next part, just building up on the E. So that's track speed right there, what I was playing it at. That's how the structure is, if you want to call it a structure. And that's it. That's part 1. Okay, so now on to part 2. Okay, so now we're on to part 2, and basically part 2 comes immediately after part 1, obviously. And this is how this sounds. Okay, it's not too bad. Is all that is open E string to the 2nd fret of the E string, going to the 4th fret of the D string, okay, and then it goes, which is just the O and the 2 on the E string, and then 4, 2 on the D string, so it's, alright, and then the last part of this part is just power chords. So it's power chord on A string power chords 4, 3, 2. Okay, so okay, and notice right before I'm doing those power chords, I'm 2 open on the E. Okay, so it's kind of on like an upbeat. Alright, so that's all for part 2. Let me just play it with the metronome so you can hear how it fits in time. Phrase ends with just the 4th fret power chord, 4th fret A string power chord, okay? That leads into part 3. So let's do that. Alright, so now we're on to part 3. And part 3 is, I guess you could call it the first verse, or the verse, or whatever you want to call it. This is basically where the singing comes in. So, yeah, that's this part of the song. And this part of the song sounds like this. Okay. Again, nothing too difficult. Just sounds cool because Rage plays cool stuff, and this sounds cool as Rage songs tend to do. Okay, so where was I? Okay, so this is 2nd fret power chord on the E string to an open E power chord, okay? Then back to the 2nd fret power chord to an A power chord. Okay, so the rhythm's like that. Okay, I kind of do like a little palm mute chug before I hit that A. Okay, and then it goes 2nd fret open on the E string, and then 4, 2 on the D, and then 4, 3, 2 open on the A. Okay. That's it for part 3. Play it with the metronome real quick. you have it. That's part 3. On to part 4. Alright, so here's part 4. And part 4 is the bridge of the song, okay? And this is also, what I'm about to show you here is also the rhythm that the first solo thingy is played over, okay? So we're just going to call it part 4, okay? Because bridges, solos, verses, choruses, it's a lot easier just to call it part 4. Alright, so this goes like this. This starts out with a build up on the open E power chord. Okay, does it 8 times. And then it goes. Okay, and then that's when the solo kicks in. Alright, so all I'm doing, or all he's doing, is 2nd fret on the E string, open on the E string. So going to the 5th fret of the E string. You could go to the A string too, but I find it easier to go to the 5th fret of the E string. Okay, and then it's just kind of 3. You just mute all the strings and go. Okay, and on the next time around it's 4, 3, 2 on the A, but with an open in between. So you have. Okay, and in order to get your timing right, it would be before it goes to that 4, 3, 2 on the A. The last note you're hitting before that would be the open E string, so it's. Okay, so that's all that part is. Let me play it with the metronome real quick, over and over, like 4 times. That way you can see how it all fits together. Okay, again, nothing too hard. I would say, I guess the hardest part is just kind of fitting it in time. And, you know, if you're you've been playing for a little while, it's not too hard to fit it in time. So, that's it. So the next part 5, is going to be played over part 4, okay? So that's where the solo is. So part 5 next. Okay, so here's part 5, and as I said, part 5 is played over the rhythm, which is what part 4 was, okay? So I have that stored in my loop station, and I'm just going to kind of play it. It's basically the first solo of the song, okay? So. So that's basically the first solo in the song, okay? So all he's doing there is he's first it's kind of like muted, and coming to the 14/14 on the G and B. All right, and then muted, and then 16 of the G and B. All right, so it goes 14, 16, 14, 16, 14, 16. So it's. And then it does this. Alright, so it's 14th fret on the B string, coming to the 17th fret of the B string, bending a full step, and then releasing. Alright, and then it does 14, 16, 14, 16, and then it does a half step bend of the 21st fret of the B string. So it's bend, release, bend, release. That's all that is, okay? So before each 14 and before each 16, you kind of do just a little muted. Alright, before that 21st fret thing, you do another little mute. Alright, and keep in mind that's only a half step bend, okay? 21st bending to the note of the 22nd fret. Alright, so one more time with the metronome. That's it for part 5, okay? On to part 6. Alright, so part 6 here is, I guess it's like the second solo, kind of like the outro solo. Really, it's played over this rhythm. It's okay, which is, I forget if it's part 2 or part 3, but that's the rhythm it's played over, okay? So, all it is 16, 16 on the G and the B string, and it's doing a little half step bend 4 times. Alright, and then it does just a lot of like muted, just kind of mute all your strings, you go in the rhythm of the song, and then it goes 14 of the G to 16 of the D. Alright, so that's pretty much all it is. You just kind of got to listen to the song just to get the feel of it down. So I'm just going to try and play it over top of the recorded loop, which is this rhythm. Okay. That little was kind of out of rhythm, so I apologize about that, but the only thing he's doing is he's just kind of muting all the strings and just kind of just strumming muted strings. All right, so just practice that, get that timing down if you really want to get it, but that's all that part is, okay? Nothing more to it. And I'm not even gonna make a whole part 7 because it's really just alright, that's how the song ends. So it's the rhythm guitar's going. Alright, so it's coming out of that. So instead of repeating itself, it's just going 4, 3, 2, power chords on the A string. Okay, and then a quick mute, and then 2, 1 open on the A string. Alright, so I guess you could call that part 7 or if you want, but that's just how the song finishes out. So that's it. 6.5 parts or 7 parts total, whatever you want to say. That's the song. Alright, so if you have any questions or if I left anything out or anything else, hit me up. Thanks a lot.